There is no one on this earth who could clean up a mess like Dana White. That man says, give me anything you got, I'm going to bring you greatness. And he does that this week. 24 hours ago, we thought that Islam Makhachev was going to take on Charles Oliveira for the UFC lightweight belt in Abu Dhabi for the main event of UFC 294. That was what we all thought. We're all excited, about 9 days out. But here we are with crazy news. And the MMA Casual has it for you. So be sure to subscribe, guys. We got a lot to cover. Go check out my Instagram and TikTok. But let's get right to it. So yesterday, all of a sudden, after the Dana White Contender Series, Dana White says, I'm going live for a huge announcement. There was countless articles already being put out, social media posts by all sorts of news outlets saying that Charles Oliveira was out of the fight for UFC 294. Dana White gets on the stand and quickly confirms that that is the truth. Apparently, Charles Oliveira was sparring and he got cut. A really bad gash that I'm going to put the picture up. Apparently, it was an accidental headbutt, something that obviously wasn't planned. These accidents happen. It's mixed martial arts, and he is officially out of the fight. Apparently, his team tried to get him to someone to get him stitches. It just didn't look good. Look how bad that gash is. And Dana White said, I wish they would have called me. We would have gotten him to the best plastic surgeon. We would have solved this. He would have been good to go. However, that's not what happened. So the quick question is, oh my God, what are we doing? UFC 294 is plummeting quickly. What's going to sell in Abu Dhabi? It's Islam Makhachev versus Charles Oliveira. And days ago, someone asked Dana White at a press conference if Mateusz Gamrot would be the fill-in. And Dana White said, yeah, sure. Not a lot of confidence, but he was like, yeah, sure, he is. Yeah, give you what you want to hear. Sure, it's Gamrot. But when it actually happens, I'm sure that Dana White freaking panicked. He said, I cannot have Islam Makhachev and Mateusz Gamrot headlining UFC 294 in Abu Dhabi. There's no way. That doesn't sell. So what does Dana White do? Dana White gets on the phone and he calls a guy that he knows is going to say yes, which apparently actually he called Justin Gaethje first, and Gaethje's, worried about fantasy football and doing dabs with his friends. So he's not taking the fight. But Alexander Volkanovski says, let's freaking do it. Let's do it. Alexander Volkanovski has no reason to take this fight. It is not ideal at all. We're talking about notice 11 days out. There's a newborn baby in his home with his beautiful family. So I'm sure he's not sleeping well. He wasn't in camp, and yeah, he's in shape, but it's not camp. Let's be clear, because a lot of people are like, oh, he stays in shape. Being in camp and being in shape is not the same thing. It's not the same mentality. It's not the same focus. So this guy is walking in blind almost against Islam Makhachev. And the only thing that helps him is the fact that he's fought him before and he had a whole camp dedicated to Islam Makhachev. But everything else is against him. And mind you, their first fight was in Alexander Volkanovski's home court. Now they're going to Abu Dhabi, which there was jokes about that rematch happening after the first fight. And now it's actually happening. So Islam Makhachev and Alexander Volkanovski are fighting for the second time at UFC 294. And what a way to pick up the trash for Dana White. Like, that is a fight that sells. That is a rivalry. That is one of the best fights we've had all year. And that is something that is going to blow up. So if I'm Mateusz Gamrot, I'm furious, obviously, right? Dana White said, sure, let's give him the fight. But then when it came down to it, he knows that doesn't sell. And I think everybody knows that. So Mateusz Gamrot has to be somewhere crying in a corner. But then comes more news. A few days ago, Paulo Costa starts posting on his Instagram about a recent surgery he just had. Apparently a pretty bad infection, some sort of staph infection. It looked like a cyst and some sort of infection. He had to have a surgery, probably some incision and drainage they had to do to that arm. As soon as he posted that, I already had my doubts. I hadn't posted about it, I'll be honest, so I'm not gaining any credibility for this. But when you're a fighter with an injury, or you're battling an injury such as surgery or illness, you had the flu, whatever it may be, you hide that. And the reason being is because that is your gateway after the fight, right? Because if I had the flu, I had a fever for a week leading up to the fight, I had a bad weight cut, or I had a surgery, guess what? If I win and I announce that, I'm the freaking man. I was able to beat this guy with an illness, with fevers, with an infection, a post-surgery. And now if I lose, hey man, I just had surgery. You guys had no idea. So the fact that Paulo Costa was posting about that was already bad news. And today he was posting that he was going to fight. Psych, we got a new guy. And Dana White does it again. Kamaru Usman. Yes, one of the welterweight kings, in my opinion. Debatably the second best welterweight of all time. Third or second, I'm there with Tyron Woodley in their reign. George St. Pierre being number one. He's going to step in at 185 to take on Khamzat Chimaev. And all of a sudden, our beautiful card where we had like Russia versus Brazil and this beautiful spectacle and card we were going to have absolutely explodes in everyone's face. But I have to give it to the UFC. What a way to pick up the pieces. And I'm so curious to know who you think is going to win both of those fights. If you ask me, Volk is at a huge disadvantage, but it's Alexander Volkanovski. Usman and Khamzat, I think that's more of a spread that they're wanting. At the end of the day, Usman is a welterweight. He's a true welterweight. There's no reason for him to fight at 185, but here he is. And at the same time, Khamzat Chimaev is going to be in a healthy body, less of a weight cut. He's looking like the heavy favorite. But this is just absolutely bananas. Like, if you ask me, they're better matchups. Does it make a little less sense for the divisions? Yes. But what beauty are we going to see in UFC 294? Let me know what you guys think. Be sure to comment below. Share this video, guys. It's a huge help. Subscribe. Almost at 1,000 subscribers. Almost monetized, guys. MMA Casual to the moon. I appreciate you guys, each and every one of you.